collection of genes is called the microbiome. It's our second genome. And it's actually much more important than what we got from our parents. It's basically the ecology of our planet, of our Earth. So these days, of course, when if obstetricians know what they're doing, if they do cesarean sections, they'll take all the secretions of the mother and they'll cover the baby with it. They'll also make it swallow some, inhale some, so the lungs and the gut and the skin can all absorb the second genome. But even if that is not done, the mother picks up the baby, hopefully, and she kisses it and cuddles it and touches it and smells it and breastfeeds it. So there's a lot of contact with the mother, and there's inoculation of the second genome as well. And then if father does the same thing, if the siblings do the same thing, then we all share genes with each other. Okay, so your genes are a mix of all the genes that you acquired, not only from your parents, but from your siblings and your dad after birth. And now life begins. And what is life? It's experience. So let's go to the next slide. We go to the next slide from the future well-being. And so what is experience? And just go to the, can I use this? Yeah, let me use it. Okay, so now life begins, and microbiome is just the second genome. Genome is what you got from your parents, and epigenome is a sheath of proteins that gets formed as a result of experiences. Life is experience. We've said that so many times. Okay, so every experience counts. We'll do that lecture later. And so here is the experiences we are having. Sound, touch, sight, taste, smell. Hopefully we get good sleep every night, especially for the baby. It's very important, but you'll see it's very important for you. Waking, breathing, nutrition, how that food is metabolized, what we call the environment, which includes our parents, our siblings, everybody else, but also, the environment in general, in which we are, our experience with nature and an experience with that which we call the universe. This is all what we can say is obvious, but then there's something else that's happening as a result. We're having thoughts, we're having emotions, memories, desire, imagination, creativity. We think about what is happening to us, and soon we get into higher states of consciousness like intuition, creativity. This happens not immediately, but it starts to happen as the baby starts to acquire language, because language is a way we communicate experience with each other. And normally we communicate experience with stories. This happened, and we interpret those stories. Other animals also communicate experience, but not in the elaborate way that we do. They basically say, there's food there, there's sex there, and let's go for it. It's mostly about survival, but we have more elaboration of experience. So all this influences your body, okay? The experience of your body, which we want to be joyful, energetic. So what interferes with that is, of course, stress. And stress can be simply stated as anything that we consider threatening. That's a good way to define stress. Stress is the interpretation of threat. Physical threat, psychological threat, emotional threat, financial threat, loss of job. That's all stress is basically how we interpret what is happening to our life. And this can result in all these things. Time sickness, not having enough time, trying to multitask, performance anxiety, lack of concentration, confusion, disorientation, all the things that you see. It begins with mental and emotional disturbances. As you can see, then that leads, there was more to that. Is that the next slide? Shouldn't be. There's more to that. There's behavioral disturbances and then physical disturbances. Okay, so what happens is when we have this, then we get into behavioral problems. We're not nice with other people, we get anger, hostility, maybe we feel guilt and shame, all those things, and ultimately this leads to physical illness. So stress is ultimately, directly or indirectly responsible for disrupting this experience which should be normal. The experience of what we call a joyful energetic body should be normal. So you have 2 slides missing there which you can come back to later. I'm just going to continue with the others, okay? So here are some things that we can start this week, okay, and start creating a habit. So this week is a good opportunity for you, all of you, to see that you get a good night's sleep. Okay, it's the most efficient way to improve your well-being. Every animal sleeps, every biological organism sleeps, and when you sleep well, then you will automatically in the morning feel joyful and energetic. Now when I say sleep well, it means without the help of drugs, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, or anything else. Natural sleep. Now, here are some of the things we are learning about sleep, which are science-based. It helps your immunity, helps your memory, but it also, during sleep, we have 2 stages. One is dream state, and one is deep sleep state. And these are very well defined in the spiritual literature, and I'm going to talk to you about this during this week. There's different states of consciousness. But sleep is definitely taking you back to your source. Okay, so during the dream state we experience fluctuations of the mind, right? But physical perceptions are gone. We're not experiencing this room, for example. Okay, so in the dream state there are fluctuations of the mind as emotions and all of that. But then in deep sleep, even that settles down. So you're back to the source. Sleep takes you to the source in the same way as meditation does. That's why the 2 things should be benefiting each other. And in deep sleep, there's lots of unconscious processing going on. Your consciousness processes information, and it harnesses your creativity, it decreases inflammation. But the most important thing to realize as we go through this course, because this is called Seduction of Spirit, is actually sleep gets us in touch with our soul. And except we are not aware of it in deep sleep. And the goal is to become aware of being aware, ultimately, even in sleep. If you can get to that stage, which you will if you practice everything that we are going to be talking about this week, then you will be aware in what people call death. Because what is death? It's the absence of all the fluctuations of consciousness. The fluctuations which appear as the experience of mind and emotions and thoughts and perceptions. Awareness never goes away because awareness is always, it's timeless. Something that's timeless can't go away. So if we could become aware of being aware in sleep, it would be an amazing state of consciousness. We'll go into that experience later during this course. What happened to the slides? Can we go back to sleep? Huh? Okay. Okay, so sleep is number one. Strategy for well-being. Number two strategy is meditation. Number three strategy, you don't have to show the slides. I think it will only add too much information, which we don't need right now. Let's go into just the strategies. So number one, sleep. Number two, meditation. Both to get in touch with our being. Number three, and this is not necessarily in, or don't worry about the slides right now. This is not necessarily in order of importance. I'm just giving you all the strategies, okay? So number 3 would be the practice of yoga and pranayama. Why? Because yoga and pranayama is more than exercise. It's getting in touch with ourselves, getting in touch with what the experience of the body, in touch with the experience of the breath, which are activities. And of course, balancing sleep with activity. So these days, there's a lot of good literature that if you walk about 10,000 steps every day, you don't have to be vigorous about it, then you're balancing rest with sleep. Okay, so number 3 would be yoga, pranayama. Pranayama is breathing properly, learning how to breathe through all the practices. And then movement. Okay, all in one category. 3. Number 4 would be healthy emotions. And what are healthy emotions? Love, compassion, joy, happiness, peace of mind, what is called equanimity. Number 4 would be healthy food. 5. Number 5 would be healthy food, which is, the kind of food, how many people enjoyed the food this afternoon? Good. So that is healthy. Why it's healthy? Because it doesn't come from a factory. Okay, it's not full of chemicals. It's not full of antibiotics, hormones, petroleum products, and a lot of the animal food that comes to us now through grocery stores, it's full of animals that have been pumped up with antibiotics and hormones and chemicals and growth hormone and estrogen, you name it, everything is there as toxins. So the closer our food is to the source, to the soil. Now, that doesn't mean I'm recommending that everybody immediately become vegetarian. If you're used to meat diet since you were a child, then going on a non-meat diet might be stressful to you. And so don't stress yourself, okay? But go in that direction, and if you eat meat diets, then buy it from a farmer's market or something like that. So it's not coming from a factory. That's number 5. And number 6 is this understanding that we are only now beginning to have, is connecting with the earth. Because the earth is connected to everything that's happening in the cosmos. The earth is spinning on its axis, it's going around the sun, it's part of the symphony of the cosmos. So anytime you can walk a little bit, even for 10, 15 minutes, either on the earth or fresh grass or on the beach, your body rebalances itself because it's connecting to the earth, which is our body too. The earth is recycling as our body. And I don't know, do we have grounding chairs and mats this time? Okay, so you can try those. Those are devices that connect you to the earth, by the way. The chairs and the grounding mats. And what happens is that the grounding mats and chairs connect you through, there's a wire that goes into the ground, to the earth, which is the grounding wire in every outlet, in every room. And it's a good way to reconnect your biological rhythms, make them back, bring them back with the rhythms of the universe. So those are 6 things you can do to create a joyful, energetic body, or the experience of a joyful, energetic body. Sleep, meditation, healthy emotions, healthy food, and connecting with the earth through grounding. Okay, so this is what I wanted to discuss. We are slowly, basically going in the direction of how this understanding of who is I and the I of all experience, how we can start to create a good life for us. Okay, but also go beyond that to understanding that life is the continuum of birth and death. That life is eternal because it is not in time. The self is not in time. The I is not in time.